Hey, thanks for tuning in today. My name is Jeremy Nicolaitis, and I'm the founder and CEO of Golden Octopillar, and we are on a mission to double the sales of 1,000 businesses in the next 5 years. And one of the ways that we're doing that is we're hosting an extreme business makeover. This is a 5-day challenge where we get together for 1 to 2 hours a day for 5 days in a row, and we implement a framework and a process for predictable sales and to get you on a path to doubling your sales in the next 90 days. So if you're interested, definitely see the link below or head over to goldenoctopillar.com/EBM. That EBM stands for Extreme Business Makeover. Head over there, get signed up. I'd love to see you on the next challenge so that we can get you on the path to doubling your sales and make you one of the 1,000 businesses that we're helping in the next 5 years. Now, beyond that, what you're about to watch right now is a great interview I did that's part of a series where I reached out to successful creative entrepreneurs and business owners to first talk to them about how they managed the COVID economy and how, when the world shut down, what they did with their businesses to stay successful and what they would do if they had to start over. If they were somebody that wanted to take their side hustle and make it their main hustle, if somebody who was struggling because what was going on with the economy, how can they help their business? What are the things that they would do? So it's full of great stories, great tips. These are great people and they're sharing their knowledge and their experience. And I'm super grateful for their willingness to be a part of this, and definitely watch them all because all the businesses are different and some of them may resonate with you more than others. So check it out. Definitely also check out their Instagram profiles and Facebook and follow them and let's just share some love. So hopefully you enjoy this one and all the other ones. All right. Thank you. All right, everybody. Today we want to welcome Alex Castaneda, a very talented Peruvian fine artist and illustrator who's been painting and teaching for over 15 years now. He's been featured in the Wallstreet Journal and has had shows in my very own backyard here in Los Angeles. His last teaching gig was for artstation.com, and his new solo show that he's working on is for his skateboard series, which is super awesome. I definitely want to hear more about that. But welcome and thank you for being here today.
Hey, thanks for having me. Thank you.
You want to tell us a little bit more about yourself? I know I just went over a little bit, but I definitely want to, let everybody know what you've been doing, what's been going on, and then we'll dive into the main questions.
Yeah, thanks. That's that description's me in a nutshell. So, I'm an illustrator. I'm a painter. I'm a teacher. I love doing all of those things. I realize it's hard to be both a good teacher and a good artist at the same time. They're not necessarily connected, but I love doing all of that. And yes, I was teaching for artstation.com. That was a great gig. It lasted a year. I have some classes in there. You go ArtStation Learning. You'll see me teach oil painting, which is my specialty. But funny enough, I started painting with digital painting with a computer, and my whole process was me translating that information, that digital information, to actual pigments. So I think that's why they hire me, because ArtStation is mainly digital artists that want to get into oils. So I think it just kind of made sense, because I was a digital artist transitioning into oils. I know it's really hard. Oils are really hard, but they're beautiful once you like.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, I actually wasn't familiar with ArtStation until I found you and started looking into your background, and it seems like quite a sizable community, and there's correct me if I'm wrong, but it's like a marketplace and an education place. So it's a place for artists to sell things, right? And then for education, I saw podcasts. There's all kinds of stuff on there.
Yes, it's a big art community. They're based in Canada, but it's the website caters for all over the world. So yes.
Yeah. And that's interesting. For me, I started doing fine art, right? And I never got into oils, but just like, non-digital, and then got a job as an illustrator, right? Mm-hmm. And so it's interesting. So when you're talking about it, you're taking just like the concepts and the idea and of how you are painting, how one would paint digitally, and moving that into a real world space, right? Have I got that right? Yeah. What are some of the challenges in dealing with that?
Well, what you need to learn basically is the fundamentals, the laws of color and contrast and things like that. And once you get that foundation, you can pretty much apply it to any medium you want, be it oils, acrylic, watercolor, markers, and because it's the same principle, just applied to a different medium.
Yeah,
That's pretty much it.
Yeah. I love it. I love the idea of teaching too. It's definitely two different worlds, right? It's almost like when you're, and I don't know if you have this experience, but when I think about it, and and having, a similar experience, is there's this freedom when you're creating and you're painting and you're drawing and you're doing your thing, but then it comes time to teach. All of a sudden now it's almost like you have to guide with a certain amount of just like rules and principles and steps. And for me, it actually kind of helps. It brings some clarity, right, into like these steps.
Yes.
But then because we're creatives, right, we want to be free. So we don't want to be shackled by these ideas and these rules, right? And so it's like this juxtaposition of being free, but having some rules when you teach. And I guess it's like I think it was what Picasso, they were talking about this, where, he's able to do what he does because the rules and the foundation, then you can break it, right? But you got to have that foundation before you can break the rules, right?
Very, very important. People like to break the rules before they actually learn them. So that's the best way. That's for sure the best.
So let's jump into COVID, right? So the whole point of this interview series is really to help creatives get out of this COVID economy as quickly as possible. And I think, some people have been very fortunate, and it's been kind of a non-issue creatively and professionally. Some it's been somewhere in between, and some it's been extremely challenging. And I think your ArtStation situation kind of relates to COVID, but I'm just curious how, for you, how have you managed just your art and your creative business during COVID? What's it been like for you, and how have you managed and maintained?
Yeah. I do a lot of different little things here and there. Teaching workshops and classes for sure was the one thing that stopped abruptly because COVID. A lot of people just didn't want to come, and it's understandable why,
This was in person. Is that what it was?
Yeah. Because as I was mentioning to you, we have a studio here in Bakersfield where we teach classes and workshops, and I've actually had a lot of people from LA. I had the animation director for Warner Brothers come over here. People from Marvel Comics coming here.
Love it.
And I don't know why they like coming here, but they like coming here. So it's cool. Like, we have this place, and so we teach. But yeah, COVID happened, and then it stopped like abruptly. So when that happened, I went back to just commission work.
Yeah.
And I've been doing this for a while. That when you do this for a while, you get, you get a list of clients that are usually your good clients, your class A clients or whatever. Yeah. So you cater to them. You're like, hey, listen, like I'm doing commission work now. I can do work for you, or I have this and this art piece here and there. Actually, you live in LA. I work with Gary Gibson, which is a gallery in Hollywood.
Okay.
So it's Beverly Boulevard.
Okay.
And, something I've realized during COVID is that people don't stop buying art. I thought, wow, everything's going to stop. Yeah. And no one's going to have money for anything. But funny enough, like there's people that are really making good money, and, the whole stimulus check thing, and people are like getting packed. So I'm happy that people still consume art, during times like this. And so I've seen a lot of sales from the gallery, because what I do is I live here in Bakersfield, so I paint. I do a lot of paintings. Have you seen my skateboards? I do skateboards and all sort of stuff like that. And I when I paint a lot, I take some to the galleries in LA and just leave them there for a while.
Okay.
And from time to time, I would go to my mailbox, and I would see like a check if something had been sold.
Yeah.
So
that's great.
Yeah.
I love that.
So yeah, I've been selling some stuff during COVID. I'm like, wow, people have actually have money for art.
Yeah.
And yeah, actually a lot of people are doing really good, and
Yeah.
And happy
I've
for me,
actually,
it works.
yeah, I've that's kind of been a common theme that I was surprised to hear as well, as I've been, reaching out and talking to people. That's it. I'm kind of hearing this similar story that people were still buying art, right? And I guess, we heard that. I don't know if you heard, but they would talk about it on the news, and you hear a lot about like people are fixing up their homes, right? They can't go on vacation, they can't do anything, so they're making their homes nicer, right? Well, what makes your home nicer than having some art, right? And I think that's fantastic. So if I understand correctly, you had, because your experience, because you've been working, even though you're the education side, the one-on-one experience went away overnight, but you already had connections, right? You essentially had a client list. You had people that knew you, and you reached out to them and said, "Hey, this is what I'm doing," right? Like, so you took action and, started looking for other ways to bring in, which is fantastic, right? That's exactly what you got to do. You got to move and make things happen. And then you also had these art galleries, right? You have places where you take your art. So now you have other businesses who are also working hard they're working to sell your stuff, right? So you've got people you're reaching out to, you've got businesses. So you're going to their clientele and their list. You have your own list, and then you have the list of the businesses, the galleries that you're working with, right?
Correct. Correct. Yeah.
That's fantastic. Was there any other like streams of revenue that you worked on during this time?
Besides those things, I have smaller ones, which is like I would release, I would make shirts and like little merch things like my stickers are really good. I do stickers of my drawings of girls. They're basically nudes, which is like stickers you don't see very often. So I thought of that idea and was like, yeah, I want to do my nudes on stickers, and people buy those a lot.
Where do people buy those from? Because I've been curious. I've thought about stickers myself, and I just didn't know where's the market for that.
Right now, everything for me is social media. Actually, the internet made me who I am. Yeah. When I was a student, I used to have, back before social media, we used to have blogs, websites, things like that. So you mentioned the Wallstreet Journal. I was still a student back in Peru, and they saw my blog, they saw my website, and they were like, "Hey, we like your work. We would like to do an interview with you, or whatever." And that exploded. That exploded, and like my demand for my work, it just started from there.
That's awesome.
So now everything is social media. Now everything's like Instagram, Facebook, things like that.
Yeah.
But it is different though, because if you're familiar with Instagram, which is that's my main platform, you make a post and the post stays there for a little bit, and then people forget about it. So you gotta always update it. You always gotta remind them. Oh, I have this product for sale, or this art piece for sale. You mentioned the stickers. I do sell those on Etsy. My Etsy store. Etsy is a store website.
Yeah.
Etsy doesn't move by itself. Like if you put something on Etsy, it's better to have something on Etsy, and then you give the link on your social media.
Right. So
like, hey, I have this.
Yeah.
Exactly. So you use
from Instagram to Etsy.
You use that traffic from your social media and direct it to the Etsy store. Yeah.
So knowing your Instagram account, when I look through it, I don't see, I'm selling this or I'm selling that in the images. I see your art, right? I see either, an image of your art or kind of like a behind the scenes, right? Like of you working on stuff. So when you're selling it, you're putting it in the copy down below. You're typing it in, you're putting an image. So people are reading what's underneath the picture.
Yeah. With the new formats, with Instagram and the story format, you know about stories, right? Like
that's what, yeah. So you're putting it in there.
The daily thing, like it is good to do both things.
Yeah.
Make both a post about your product and a story about your product. The story, of course, only lasts 24 hours.
Yeah.
But
it
is something annoying, like, but I have to be annoying. That if you want to sell something, you gotta be in their face, be like, hey, I have this. Remember about this. And because social media is like that, you always have to remember them while you're selling. Otherwise, they don't know. I know it's like,
right.
it turns very annoying. And for you, I don't like doing it, but I have to do it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they don't know what you're selling,
Yeah. Or otherwise you have to go do a job that you don't want to do. Right. So
Yeah,
you can go work
choose
for
your part.
somebody else. Right. You can go work for somebody else and live the life you don't want to live, or you can create and be creative and sell your stuff. Right.
Yes.
And I'm with you. It's hard. Right. And you don't want to, just jump out there and you feel like you're being annoying or being some kind of, car salesman. No disrespect to car salesmen. They're great, but like that's stereotypical idea. Right. But you can either get out of your comfort zone, be uncomfortable for a little bit and say, hey, look at me, come buy my stuff. Or you can go work for somebody else and they'll sell your stuff. Right. And there's no freedom in that.
Exactly. I describe it as choose your heart. Everything's hard. So just choose it. Choose your poison.
Hard. I like that. That's awesome. That's awesome. I love this. Cool. So you've made some changes like right away, right? I think like COVID, it came and you handled it and you moved quickly and you made adjustments, but you had your established following, you had your relationships, and you made stuff and sold stuff. I think that's fantastic. For those, just kind of moving on to the next question.
Yes.
For those that may have been working for somebody else that didn't have the foundation that you had and the, the business knowledge and the, picking the right heart, if you will. And they had to start over, right? They've lost their job or didn't have, the confidence to do what you did. How would you guide them if you were just to give them and say, hey, if you really want to do this, if you want to get up and going and you want to, create and be free, right? What would you do over the next 30 to 90 days to get that going, to get into momentum and start bringing in, some revenue to get that party started?
For someone that doesn't do this kind of stuff, you say? Like
that they're creative, they can be creative, but they don't have the business already in line, right? So you probably don't think of yourself as a businessman, right? You don't think, right?
I don't.
But you absolutely are. And talking to you, you're doing so many right things. You're doing so many foundational things that are so important. When I help people with business, there's 14 key stages that I talk to them about, right? But you're doing like exactly what you need. You're building a list. You've got a following. You're also, not only do you have a list of people that'll buy directly from you and you have your social media accounts and you're getting on and marketing yourself, but you have relationships with businesses who also have your ideal clients. So not only do you have your list, you have their list, right?
Yeah.
And you took action like, okay, I can't train people one-on-one. So here I am, I'm making this, I'm doing this, I'm reaching out. So all that stuff that you're doing is so important. And I think that's what a lot of people just don't do, right? They don't do that stuff. There's a fear that's keeping them from doing it, right? Maybe they're worried about whether people are going to think, or maybe they're too worried about if they're going to succeed or not. And that's why I think these are also important. But just kind of going back to the question, it's just, if they had to, if you had to start over, right? If you were transplanted into another area and had to start over, but you have all your knowledge and you have your skill set, what would you do over the next 30 to 90 days to get that up and running?
If I went to a different field, what I would do is just look who is good in that field and ask him questions. I'll be like, who's the best one here? Let me ask him. Yeah. And see how they work, Yeah. Eventually, because COVID is like, you have to fail. You know what I mean? I think failing is a very important factor. And the moment you fear, you no longer fear failure. That's when you learn. And that applies to everything. That applies to learning art or business or anything else. Just see how everyone's doing it. Like, look at the best one. That's what I see. The reason I came to California was like, first, a lot of clients, ever since the Wallstreet Journal, and I was living in Peru, a lot of clients from California. So I was, there's a lot of clients in California. I should go there. But secondly, because a lot of what my favorite artists live here in California. So I came here to see from them, learn from them. And that's what you have to do. Like, look who's the best one in the room. Yeah. And go to him and see how they're doing it, take notes. Yeah. And learn from that. I mentioned, yes, to me, it happened with my workshops. And so I was like, okay, so let's do what do I have? What other resources I have left? So I make a list of clients, list of things I can do. You know, you got to do like some field study.
Yeah. No, I think that's great. You said two really key things in there that I believe in 100% is failure is good and fail often. Like, don't worry about failure, right? It's something that teaches us something, right? We learn from failure. So failure is not a bad thing, right? It tells you something and helps you adjust, right? And the other thing is you talked about, when you talk about finding somebody, we're modeling success, right? Who is successful and what are they doing? It's the complete idea of what I'm doing with these interviews, right? I'm finding successful people, having conversations with them, so those that are struggling can pick up little pieces, right? They can learn from you. Like, people will learn from you and they go, yeah, okay, right? They'll get the confidence. They'll hear you talking about, being uncomfortable, saying, hey, come buy my stuff, but you still do it so that you can live the life that you want to live, right?
Yeah. And it's not easy, when you start, success is not going to be there, and a lot of people are going to judge you and they say, like, get a real job, that's the common thing I hear. And you just got to
still say that to you.
Yeah. I mean, I draw unpaid butts, dude. Like, my family back in Peru, they're very religious and they're very old fashioned. So I'm like the black sheep of the family, per se. But I'm like, look, mom, I'm making my money with butts, so it works.
Right. I love it. That is so funny. But it's true. And you know what? You don't have a real job. You have a business. And I think it's better. Like, I don't want a job, right? I want a business. I want to be able to create. I want to do things and sell it.
That's what people don't realize. There's this misconception that artists, they are anarchists and they just do whatever they want. I mean, cool. I mean, you want to be rebellious and do that. Yes. But then how are you going to pay rent?
Right. Yeah.
So you got to sell yourself. You got to talk with people. You got to sell yourself because you are the business. You are the product. And so artists that I talk to, especially young artists, they don't see that. Yeah. I'm like, you got to talk to people. I'm like, they don't want to talk to anyone. They want to stay in the room and close the doors and create. I mean, cool, for your personal stuff, cool. But if you want to make a business out of it, you got to be out there.
Yeah. And you got to start, right? Because you're going to end up, years, decades down the line, looking back and go, oh my gosh, why didn't I do that? Had I done this, right, then I would have this. And you don't want to have those regrets.
I like to share an experience too. Like I had a realization, that business is like a friendship kind of thing. Like the businesses or the business partners that work for me are the ones I have chemistry with, because when I came here for the first time, I was looking around galleries and there'll be galleries that'll be like, oh, your work is okay. You'll find someone, but people will be really bad to you and you'll feel discouraged. Right. Yeah. But you got to keep asking and you got to keep like meeting new people. Mm-hmm. Eventually you'll find that connection with someone. It's like finding a partner, like finding a girlfriend or a boyfriend. Chemistry. I think chemistry is very important in business too,
Yeah, absolutely. This is fantastic, man. What a great conversation we're having. I love it. You don't know what you're going to walk into, and this has just been fantastic. So I just want to, thinking about it, we talked about, just to give the listeners and the viewers some good guidance. We talk about, modeling success, looking for those people, seeing what they're doing. And, when I say models, because you're not copying them, but you're learning from them when you're learning from multiple people. And, I always think about like Kobe Bryant, right? Like some people say like, oh, Kobe Bryant, he's just like Jordan, but Kobe Bryant studied all kinds of basketball players, right? And then he has his own DNA. So at the end of the day, he is this original powerhouse, right?
Yes.
And you can't be afraid. Like, you need to be inspired by other people, and it's okay to learn and try and do. And if a little bit of somebody else's DNA gets into yours, it's fine, because in the end, it's going to be completely different and completely new. That's how we create, right? We go to the museums to be inspired, right?
Yes.
Go to people who are around now. I think that's fantastic. So it seems like the next step you're saying is you got to put yourself out there, right? Don't be in a room, don't be in a cave. I mean, it's okay, you develop your skill, but start putting yourself out there at a rate that you're comfortable with. But I think also what I'm hearing is that it's also important to be comfortable with being uncomfortable, right? And so constantly just go a little bit outside of your comfort zone, and I think you'll gain momentum, right? And then everybody is going to get bad feedback at some point, right?
Oh, yeah.
But it probably has absolutely nothing to do with you. They could be grumpy. They could have just stubbed their toe. They could have had a tragedy in their family, and they're dealing with these emotions, and you just happen to cross paths at the wrong time, right? And it has absolutely nothing to do. So you keep going, and then you get a win, and you get a win, and you get a win, and like, you're feeling great, and then you take a blow, right? And you're like, but you keep up and keep going, right?
Yes.
And putting yourself out there, and then just trying. I think that's just fantastic advice. Fantastic advice. Do you have any, like, I have just, I'm looking at my notes over on the side, and just kind of final thoughts or words of wisdom, just, to really push people over the edge, get them out of that dark cave.
I like to, what you said was very cool, actually, about mentors and about figures you admire. Everything goes back to teaching too. And I tell the students, every teacher or every mentor in this case, think of them as a kind of supermarket. You go to this supermarket and, like, meat's cheap there. So you go and get the meat there. This other one, milk is really cheap. So you go there, like, things are different for everyone. And so you'll find this piece of advice from this person, take that, but don't take this. And so on. So no.
Yeah,
it's like what I'm telling you. Like, when you go to different supermarkets and get different groceries that are cheaper there.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So you just kind of like that.
Yeah, but you have to try, right? Like, you have to look for the market and go to the market.
Yes.
And get weird. So you still have to put effort, but when you're rewarded for that effort, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And
Piece of advice is, okay, so you got to love the process. You got to love what you do. There's got to be passion, because if there's no passion, then the first setback you're going to have, you're going to be like, oh, no, this is not for me. You'll be disappointed and you won't try again. You got to have that passion. If you have that passion and that drive, nothing is going to stop you. If you love the process, that's it. You won. You won the game, because that's going to push you forward eventually. So.
Yeah. I love it, man. Yep. I love it. This is fantastic. Thank you so much. Thank you for taking the time to have this conversation and to help other creatives out there. I think it's an important time, right? There's a lot of people that are suffering, and I think we can help them and give them some hope and some guidance along the way. Where can people find you? Where can people check you out?
Well, like I mentioned, Instagram is my main platform, which is it's a mouthful, but it's I am Alex with 3 X's Castaneda. I'm sure you could put a link there somewhere.
I absolutely will. Yep. Anywhere I post, because we've got the Facebook group, the podcast, the YouTube channel, all of it will have your information there. Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Yeah.
And I definitely want to know. I want to know. You got to keep me posted when you got a gallery opening here in LA, or you get the skateboard one. Like, I love the skateboard idea. I think painting skateboards are really cool. I live by the beach, and people do that with surfboards a lot. But for me, there's something about the skateboard just as a canvas. I think its size and its shape, I think it presents really well on a wall. Because a surfboard can be too. For me, it's a bit big. But you can have because I could also see 3 skateboards in a row, right? Mm-hmm. Why buy one? You can have 3, right? Everybody's going to go, and we're going to buy 3 boards at a time from the gallery. We're going to plant that seed for everybody.
You're my guest.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And we look forward to hearing more from you.
All right. Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Take care.
Hey, so hopefully you enjoyed that interview as much as I did, and you're checking out all the interviews. And remember, if you're looking to grow your business for any reason, head over to goldenoctopillar.com/EBM. That's EBM for Extreme Business Makeover, and we'll get you on the path to doubling your sales in the next 90 days. And also, don't forget to head over to Instagram and Facebook and follow all these amazing business owners and keep checking out what they're doing, because they're great people doing great things, and I want to share as much love as I can with them. So thanks, and have a great day.